Assalamualaikum to my fellow panel and audience. My name is Ahmad Nurhaziq bin Rohaizad and my metric number is TE22107. I would like to present about my final year project 1 with the title Drivers-Based Framework for the Adoption of IoT-Based Early Flight Warning System in Malaysia. My research was supervised by TS Dr. Lee Yong Siang. In this presentation, I will explain the motivation behind the project, my research objective, methodology, and why this study is important for the Malaysia flood management effort. As you know, flooding is a recurring disaster in Malaysia that causes major damage almost every year, especially during the monsoon season, which is the southwest monsoon on April until September, and also the northeast monsoon on October until March. The consequences are often severe, including the loss of life, destruction of property, and disruption of life. While Malaysia does have flood warning system, most of them are traditional and not very effective to flood prone. They rely on basic tools like siren, notices, or delayed alert that sometimes come too late. This is where IoT or the Internet of Things become highly relevant. IoT-based flood warning system can collect real-time data using a sensor, monitor river level continuously, and send early alert directly to user through the connected device like phone, television, or radio. This allows people and authorities to take action early on potentially reduce the damage caused by the flood. However, the main issue isn't just about technology being available. Despite the benefit, the adoption rate of IoT-based flood warning system in Malaysia is still very low. There are some challenges have been identified. First, public awareness is still low. Many people are unaware of this system and don't know how it works. Second, there are lack of trust in technology. Some people are skeptical of new system, especially if they don't fully understand the benefit of this technology. And third, people often have a weak perception of this flood risk. Some believe flooding won't happen in their area, so they don't feel the need to prepare. To address this issue, I developed three main objectives for my research. The first objective is to identify the key drivers that influence the adoption of IoT-based early flood warning system in Malaysia. The second objective is to determine which of these drivers are the most critical and have the biggest impact. Finally, the third objective is to develop a framework based on these drivers that can be used to promote adoption more effectively, especially by decision maker and policy planner. From the objective, I developed three research questions. Can see that the first question asks what are the main drivers that influence the adoption of this system. The second question explores which drivers are the most critical. The third question is focused on what strategy or model can be developed to encourage wider use of this system in Malaysia. The scope of my study is based on Malaysia and target stakeholders who are directly involved in flood planning and disaster management. I used secondary data from previous study and conducted interview with officers from Jabatan Pengairan dan Saliran to know how the early flood warning system work in Malaysia, and also local municipal council to distribute the question that are already prepared. The target respondents were chosen because they have experience with flood response and system implementation. For data analysis, I used the analytical hierarchy process, or called is AHP, a structure method that helps in compare and ranking factors based on importance. For the literature review, I refer to three important studies that highlight how IoT technology is being applied to flood warning and monitoring system. This study provides a strong foundation and helped me to understand the current trend and limitation in this field. The first study is by Kamal on 2025, which focused on development and implementation of an IoT-based early flood detection and monitoring system. What makes this study unique is that it used time series forecasting to generate real-time alert, especially in resources-constrained environment. The second study by Rahman and Iqbal on 2024 looks at IoT-based flood early warning system from a disaster management perspective. Their research highlight how IoT can be integrated into national or local disaster response plan to improve early warning, decision making, and emergency action. Also, Zainal on 2022 investigate the monitoring on detection side of flood management using IoT application. His studies focus more on how IoT devices like sensor and detector are used in real environment to collect data on water level and flooding condition. And this is a research methodology in a flowchart format broken into 4 stages. It starts with the introduction, problem statement, objective, scope of study, and literature review. Then in stage 2, I use a triangulation method to collect data from 3 sources: questionnaire, secondary data, and expert interview. For the stage 3, I will analyze the data and using a HFP method is used to rank the key drivers influencing IoT adoption, while content analysis extract them from the literature and interview. From this analysis, it identifies a research gap which lead to us to stage 4, developing a framework to help the adopt IoT-based early flood warning system more effectively in Malaysia. Most existing research based on the technical aspect of IoT-based flood warning system such as sensor, device, and network. While I think these studies are important to overlook the human side of the issue, my proposed research focus on the human and social driver at the influence public adoption of IoT-based flood warning system in Malaysia. From the data collection, I use the triangulation method, which means combination multiple sources of information to get a more accurate picture. Review secondary data like a journal article and report to understand what already know about the IoT flood system. Then, I will conduct an interview with officials from the Jabatan Pengeran Saliran and the Municipal Council to get expert insight from the ground level. Also, gather a direct feedback using a question that I already prepared. This include hand-on interview and snowball sampling, where one respondent refer us to another. This mixed approach give our research more depth and reliability. The data analysis is part of the research. First, content analysis is used to identify the key drivers behind the adoption of IoT-based early flood warning system in Malaysia. This means I reviewing the data from the interview and secondary sources to find drivers adoption of IoT-based early flood warning system. Next, the AHP method helps to prioritize those drivers. Each driver gradation will compare using a scale from 1 to 9. This helps to calculate the weight of each driver, basically showing which one has the most influence of adoption. This method is widely used in decision-making research because it's structured and gives quantitative result from qualitative judgment. The significance of this study is very clear. First, it helps increase public awareness and improve people's understanding of flood risk and early warning system. Second, it provides guidance to government agencies and authorities in designing strategy to promote adoption. And third, it highlights the importance of education and community engagement in disaster preparedness. In this long run, this can help save lives, protect property, and reduce the overall impact flood in Malaysia. This Gantt chart shows the timeline of my project, from the literature review and data collection to analyze and report writing. Proper planning allow me to manage the project effectively within the given time frame. And here are the references I use in this study. It includes academic papers, case study, and official documents that support the background, methodology, and finding of my research. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you for your time. If you have any question or would like to know more about my research, I would be happy to explain further. That's all for me. Assalamualaikum.